guys, it's Theresa here of Larkin Design. Welcome back to In My Pocket Memory Keeping class. And so today I'm sharing with you another event-based layout in my 2012 album. And so this is a layout about two events, one in February, in the end of February, and one in the end of March. And so, yes, absolutely, there is a full month in between both of these events. And I'm just going to go with that. I'm just going to go with the flow, right? And just keep working through the album. And so I chose some products today from the Gossamer Blue May 2017 Traveler's Notebook Kit and Life Pages Kit. So that is what you are seeing here on the layout. I've already sort of chosen the cards that I wanted to use. I knew that the right hand side was going to be more pinks and fun light spring colors, and on the left hand side I wanted more of a masculine feel. I chose some of the blacks and whites in that kit, and I'm gonna try, of course, to tone down some of the pinks. There's also a lovely color in the walls here. This is a set of photos from Addison's karate class, and the walls were painted this really pretty duck egg kind of blue, and that is present in this kit as well. So I'm going to repeat some of that color throughout the layout here, along with the black and white elements. And so I've chosen, this is to start with. I just go through the cards when I'm starting my process, and I have the layout on my desk. I just go through the kit that I've chosen to work with that day, and I just pull out favorites. And favorites might be different from day to day or from layout to layout, but I really like just picking things that I like and using things that I like in the layouts and letting that be the driving force in how I choose my products. And so these were some of the cards that I started out with. And so I really like the black and white elements that were in this kit. And I'm working here on a title card. I'm not going to do a date card per se. Of course you could if you still wanted to document what particular weeks this was. And I might do that if I had photos for every week. But in this album, I don't have photos for every week. And obviously here is a month gap. So I'm not going to advertise the fact that there's a month in between these two photos. And it really doesn't matter, right? In the whole scheme of things, what matters most is that there are photos and there are stories with those photos, and that's what my primary intention becomes, rather than a weekly documenting. So my card here is really a title card, and since I had shared some of his karate in the layout previous to this, my title sort of follows with that, and it says, "You did it again, kiddo," right? And so at the time in Addison's karate, he was testing about once a month and moving up once a month, and it was just the way that his karate instructor was motivating the kids and keeping them engaged in the class. And so even though there aren't monthly belts, he would add tape to their belts, so they would be a brown belt with red tape or something like that. And so that's how their karate class worked, and it really did give the kids a sense of accomplishment every month or so, and it really did help keep them engaged. And so he had a really good time and a really awesome instructor. The top photo is a photo of his instructor actually doing his form with him. They memorized and practiced what are called forms, and that's a set prescribed series of motions. And so Mr. Frame would sometimes do the forms with the kids, again, as a motivator and as an encouragement for them. And so we had captured some of that in our photographs as well. And I thought that was something that was really important to share. I think that Addison will look back on that many years from now and be inspired by that. You can also see where I had debated on whether, on this one card with the stripes on it, whether I wanted to use the black and white side or the color, or the side with the rainbow colors, and I decided to use the rainbow colors to balance. I think that there's a heavy black and white element at the top left-hand corner, and there's a heavy black and white element in the journaling card that's framed with the black. And so then I added the color to balance that a little bit more. It will tie in with the other side of the layout as well, because the other side of the layout will be a little bit more colorful. So hopefully you'll get to see that as I complete the other side of the layout as well. I really do like the bright pink that's in this kit. So I added a little strip of washi tape across this card. I don't remember where that washi tape is from, forgive me. And then of course the stamp set in this May kit, in the May Life Pages kit, was awesome. It's one of my favorite stamp sets ever, I think. So lots of opportunities there for stamping. I do like to just add one or two little tiny embellishments to each photo. I'm going to stamp here on his arm and just use some of the white space in this photo. You could probably, if you wanted a little bit more contrast, I probably could have stamped that on a tag or on a circle. But that's okay. And then I added the tiniest little star over top of it as well. So that side of the layout is done, and then I'm going to bring back this side and start working on it. And so you can see now where there's a black and white on the left hand side, and then a more colorful elements here on the right hand side. This was just a fun afternoon at the zoo. Interestingly enough, this is one of the first times that I remember specifically taking all 4 kids by myself on an outing. It's something that Alan and I worked hard as we transitioned together. We worked hard to make sure that we helped each other and didn't feel overwhelmed with taking 4 kids somewhere. We had one that was a runner, one that was a flight risk, one that was 4 years old. So there were definitely some challenges when the kids were that age, and just the adjustment of going from being a parent of 2 to being a parent of 4. And so that is actually what this layout is about for me, is more so this accomplishment that we had a day where I took them to the zoo by myself. And when I journaled, I actually journaled that nobody got lost. And that felt like an accomplishment for me. And for me, this is part of the importance of the story here, of how our family was blending at this time. We had been together not quite a year at that point. So definitely some changes and some adjustments and some challenges for each of us, and that was one of my challenges that I felt a little intimidated by. And so this layout is really a celebration of that. And if you look at the photos, like, you wouldn't know that behind the scenes story. It looks like any other happy day at the zoo. All the kids are laughing and bouncing around and having a good time. I will say that I managed to capture photos of 3 of the kids, and I didn't have any individual photos of Emberlyn by herself. And I think that that's just probably because she did not sit still. She's very high energy, very go, 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 very excited that day. And so there just weren't any headshots or individual photos of her that day. And I've talked about that before. I've talked about how I try to take individual photos of each of the kids where I can, and sometimes it's just not possible. And if it's a particular day where they say, nope, don't take my picture, then I have to respect that. So she is there. She is in 2 of the photos. She's actually behind Addison, climbing up on the platform there. So just a busy day for her, and just lots of fun here. You know, I love that there's this contrast of the story, the backstory behind these photos is actually one of some anxiety and some challenges, but then when you look at the photos, they're just full of smiles and full of energy, and they're doing fantastic. And even for me, looking at these photos today, I feel a sense of accomplishment, and I feel a sense of relief that, you know, even though it was challenging for me, that they're doing fine, and they were still happy and go lucky kids that were just having a good time. And that, for me, like, that is what scrapbooking is for me. It's just that daily reassurance that, hey, look, we're having a good time, we're having a good life, and we're doing good together. I did add my title card at the bottom here. I used some freckled fawn puffy alphabets on that title card just to spell out day at the zoo. Very simple title. You know, if you wanted to do a date card, you could certainly write out your date with those same alphabets. I just repeated the yellow, so it's a very monochromatic card at the bottom. And I added some of those little puffy stickers just around the layout. Another one of my favorite elements is the little black word strip on the top card that says "You are so loved." And that really just encapsulates everything that I want this layout to say, that these kids are so loved and so taken care of. So that wraps up this layout. I hope you enjoyed the process here, and I'll see you in the next process video. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.